Yeah, and I know you mentioned, or both of you mentioned Mullen being out, and I think Sabitzer has done a great job these last two games of picking up a lot of that weight and putting it on his shoulders. I mean, like you said, what a time for him to catch some form and get involved in a number of ways too. It was I thought his performance for the second leg against Atletico versus the first one was night and day. His first game, I thought he was a bit static, didn't help too much at midfield, and it was just the complete opposite. Him and Brandt both had a lot of movement. Sabitzer had a lot of great runs, some good touches to keep attacks alive, and even set up Matson for his goal as well, disrupting Madrid's low block at times whenever they eventually did, and both legs fall back into their usual defensive self. Sabitzer did a really good job of exploiting a lot of that and just getting us on the board. Just wanted to shout him out. I mean, he had two terrific games, arguably his two best performances in a Dortmund kit, just in a row.
Yeah, that was one of my questions off the bat. I had this question posed after the in my notes after the Gladbach match, but then he steps up again in this match. Um, Obviously these I think these two matches and performances were like far and above like kind of other performances we've seen from him. Obviously, he's stepping up quite a bit, but have we been underappreciating him or like maybe not showing him as much love as he's deserved? Like as far as this signing goes, I don't know. Not a ton of people were excited. I think wages kind of play into that a bit, but has he? I feel like obviously these performances stand out amazing, but overall, like I think he's been pretty reliable. We've seen him start I think more matches than start on the bench, and he's obviously getting that over Mecha, who was out a bit. But as far as just kind of a reliable player, like I think he has been that, and maybe I don't think we've shouted him out ever on this podcast before. So I don't know. Like I think he's a decent signing. Maybe these two performances make up for everything, but I think he has been reliable throughout the whole season so far.
Yeah, it wasn't just the wages too. I mean, he also had a pretty decent fee when it came. What did we spend, like 20 million on him for someone who just turned 30 recently? But yeah, another thing about it, I know I've like mentioned him a handful of times. Maybe it was his goal against like Frankfurt the first time I mentioned him, but I don't think we have, I guess, appreciated him as much. But it has taken a while for him to integrate himself into the team. He's seen a lot of change in scenery in the past, just what, like 2 years of his career, from Leipzig to Bayern to Manchester United and now to Dortmund. So I mean, he's been under a lot of different systems, but he's certainly trying, starting to find his footing a bit more, and I think you're also seeing his confidence too. He's not really, he's not shy to have a go and have a crack from range, and you're starting to see him do that a bit more and definitely get rewarded for it as well. So, yeah, I'm excited for him and excited for the team.
Yeah, I
Sh-
certainly like the adjustment to push him up a little further,
yeah,
almost like a Jude Bellingham role, if you will. And I think that really helps him because he's not a real number eight. He's more of a number 10, really. And it works out quite well that he is further up because he makes more plays happen. Especially, he's really good in pressing, counter pressing. That's sort of his forte. And his motor is just relentless, really, which is why he played so well against Atletico. I mean, it was him, funnily enough, who was putting Morata under maybe a little bit of pressure in the what was it, second, third
yeah,
minute, and forcing that probably very crucial miss because I don't know how this tie goes. But obviously, on the other
right.
hand, he could have also already put us 1-0 ahead with that chance that Adeyemi created and Brandt basically. But nevertheless, I mean, 2 assists, 1 goal, but I feel like this was probably one of the, I don't know, performance for the ages. 10 out of 10. Definitely, he was everywhere on the football field. He really did not put a foot wrong, other than where he should have scored.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't mentioned that yet.
Yes, but I mean, just the sheer amount of will, and to me, like just the image of when the referee blew the full time whistle and Sabitzer was just laying flat on the ground because he just had left everything out there, and he hustled so much. He ran so many gaps, and closed so many players down, and just also on the ball, he was really good, to not really make many mistakes. uh, always with a lot of dynamic, and of course he made so many good runs. I mean the run in behind Witzel, I think it was
Yeah,
before the 3-2, to read that situation, to have the energy to make that run, to be way ahead of the opponent then, and playing the cross to Füllkrug. I mean, these are the kind of runs your number 8 maybe doesn't make necessarily, but if you have a guy who plays a bit more advanced, does it pretty well. And I think shout out to Emre Can, because without Can, Sabitzer's role isn't possible, because Can really needs to tone himself down a little bit. He needs to take a few steps back, because otherwise you have two players that are way too offensively minded. And Can basically did a very I don't know. He just didn't try too many things, which is what Emre Can needs to do anyway, because he's
right.
not as good as he thinks he is, I think. But to keep things simple, especially in such a high stakes game, was really key to free up Sabitzer to do a little bit more.
Yeah, Chan picked out a few great passes as well, like that the one that Sabitzer made for Matson's goal. Chan picked out that pass as well. I'm excited to see Chan starting to, it looks like, have a little bit more
I
confidence on
think
the
that was
ball too.
Sancho.
What's that?
I think Madsen's goal was set up by Sancho to Sabitzer
It
to
might have been,
Madsen.
but I have the. Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Now I'm just looking. But either way, he picked out a few of those runs from Sabitzer, even against Gladbach as well. So
Can
and
had an
Chan.
amazing pass to Brandt before the fourth goal.
Mhm.
That was his amazing pass. That was almost as good as the pass from Hummels to Brandt for
Do
the
you think
1-0.
that could be a midfield trio that we could see going forward of Brandt and Sabitzer almost as dual tens or an 8-10
Yes,
at times?
I think this is pretty much set in stone for every big game now, which is funny because I think if you look at the schedule, every game now is a big game. So
Yeah.
I think maybe against Leverkusen on Sunday there needs to be a bit of rotation, but yeah, I think they harmonize really well. Julian Brandt also had a really big game, and so I think this is sort of set in stone, especially on the back of those performances. If for whatever reason Sabitzer comes back to earth, maybe you put in someone else, but for now, I don't see a reason to change it.
Yeah, I'm not sure who you would even put in if Sabitzer or Chan are not on their games. I was thinking recently, like, it's crazy what I have here. I mean, in 2019, we had five other, you could say sixes or even eights with like Delaney, Witzel, Chan just recently arrived. Dahoud was there at the time. Probably another one at the top of my head that now that I'm forgetting. But it's almost completely flipped on its head where you have, besides Chan, it's very underwhelming when you look on the bench of someone else that could fulfill that role that can be that, whether it's like deep lying playmaker or just the anchor man behind Brandt and Sabitzer, because Ozchan, I think, had a lot of very simple passes that he messed up against Gladbach. So you could see how just crucial it is for us to get a
I
better
was
number.
ranting about Özcan not being able to play a simple 5 meter pass while not being under pressure.
Uh-huh.
And then he upgrades that to not being able to play a simple 2 meter pass
Yeah.
while not being really under pressure. And yeah, it's a shame because I had high hopes for Özcan, but at this point, it's difficult to see a longer term future. Like he's a good backup and whatnot, but really, you want to upgrade probably Can and Özcan both going forward.
Yeah. And that was the other name. Now, he left midway through the season, but Weigl was also here. So, like, all of those players were at our disposal, at least at some point during the season. And it's just, again, completely flipped on its head. And I think Madsen still should be arguably our number one priority to try to go for, but just behind that has got to be a distributing number six.